The latest Quentin Tarantino movie, The Hateful Eight, is his second Western-style movie, and his eighth movie overall. For being a Western, it is overly verbose for assembling the plot for the audience, and with a conclusion that is quite unlikely in the real Old West. As this is a Tarantino movie with violence, you know what to expect, but the frontier violence in this movie did not really occur. Frontier violence was political, ethnic, or economic-related violence, but surprisingly few criminal massacres. But the situation invented by Tarantino is meant to convey a gritty Western, such as some of the ones made in the 1960s. Perhaps Tarantino should have referenced real massacres related to his story's plot, such as the Battle of Fort Pillow and/or the First Battle of Saltville, which have worked better. The plot is similar to the 1950s movie Bus Stop and Tarantino's own movie Reservoir Dogs. As the trailer suggests, the story involves a group of people in the midst of traveling while being somewhat trapped in an isolated location, with violent intent. This movie is very tightly written with a lot of dialogue between the characters, much like a Broadway play limited to one stage. It almost comes off just as a vehicle for the actors, such as some sort of actors' playhouse or something. It also reminded me of a Twilight Zone episode regarding a bus stop in some regards. One question that should be asked, is this movie too violent? After viewing the movie, with its high amount of gun violence, it stands as an odd contrast to Tarantino's own statements related to police shooting incidents. All the fanboys of Tarantino's films will like this movie, as some actors of his past films are in it, and there are references that are favorites of his, such as Red Apple cigarettes. One problem I have is the lighting. The interior of the Stagecoach Stop Minis has what seems to be track lighting in it, as does the stagecoach itself, with overhead lights for settings that would otherwise be dark in a real Western setting. Another set problem I have is the stagecoach stop itself. It had odd gaps in the walls that would seem to allow the wind to blow right through the place, but none of the characters complain? The Rocky Mountains can get very cold, and this building would have been probably uninhabitable in the winter, but it works as a set, as the production people discuss their love of the set and show the hidden lights I mention in this link. Overall, a good Tarantino movie that reminds one of Reservoir Dogs, but contains too much dialogue, similar to the chatty girlfriends in Death Proof. If you see the movie, be sure to try and catch it in Panavision 70mm, which is a much more expansive and has a longer running time. In any viewing, be prepared for a long movie, as the mere digital showings are 167 minutes long, with no intermissions, as there are in the 70mm showings, so make sure you hit the restroom before the movie.